Right, good evening everybody. Can you hear me at the back? Yes. Perfect. Welcome to an East Street annual parish meeting. We'll go through the agenda. You've all got an agenda on your seats. There's some other bits and different. Well, there is enough to share. If you've got something to share, that'd be great. We'll run through the meeting just for introduction purposes. I'm Mark Jones, I'm the Chair of the Parish Council. This is Joe, the Clerk of the Parish Council, and I'll just quickly run through the other parish councillors who are here present. Some are coming, but they're caught up at other meetings, so they'll be on hopefully later. Yeah, and just to let you know that Christina here is videoing the meeting for public interest. She puts it on YouTube?
Yes, it will go onto YouTube, and I'll also share it on Facebook to the History Watch Group.
Yeah, okay. So, which she's entitled to do.
And I just wanted to say I'm only pointing towards the front here, so I'm not videoing anybody in the audience.
As you probably saw in the other meeting, it was me and Joe in the other video. Right, okay, so back straight on, Parish Council President, so introduce myself as Chairman.
Joe McDonald, Parish
Joe
Council.
McDonald.
Martin Hay. Deb Russell, Vice Chair. Kate Gibson.
Mike Smith.
Okay, we do have apologies from... Where's Andy? Oh. I thought you were a bit slow standing up. We do apologies from Jeff Gibson, Kate's husband, who's got a prior commitment, so he can't be here tonight. Okay. Right, just to let you know, if anybody's interested, there are currently 2 spaces on the Parish Council due to 2 people leaving the Parish Council. So if you're interested in community affairs, village affairs, the Parish Council as a wider body, then please come and see Joe and express your interest, and we'll go from there. We do have 11, so we've got 2 vacancies, already 9 at the moment. Okay, before the Village Hall Committee present, it's very important to establish a few facts. The Parish Council own the gun park, so nothing can happen on it without the Parish Council agreeing to it. The Parish Council originally approached by the football club requesting a new pavilion. The current one is in a shocking state, which we all agree. But it is owned by the Parish Council and leased to the football club on a full repairing lease. The Parish Councils had agreed in principle that the pavilion should be replaced with a new building. The Parish Council had taken legal advice on this, and the football club started looking into sources of funding. Okay. After this, the Village Hall Committee approached the football club and suggested that they join forces and instead build a much larger community hub on the gun park. The Parish Council have not agreed to this. It's just an idea at the moment, as the Parish Council are not prepared to make a decision until everyone in the village knows about the proposal and had a chance to have their say at the meeting tonight and at 2 further ones to be held on Sunday the 31st from 12 till 3 p.m. and Monday the 8th of June, not the 6th of June, Monday the 8th from 10 till 1. After all 3 events have taken place, the Parish Council then decide whether to pay approximately £2,000 to the District Council to run a vote, or how to best record the parishioners' views to make it legal and binding. A show of hands of people on the electoral roll in East Street tonight will be taken at the end of this presentation for indicative purposes only, and those not on the electoral roll are not entitled to vote, because it's about East Street and the people that live in the village. That's the introduction. Okay, I'll move swiftly on, and the minutes of the last meeting, it's all on the website, it's on the parish notice board, if there's any comments on those. That's it, yeah. And there's no matters arising from last meeting, so I'll go straight on to item 4, which is the proposed new community hub on the gun park, presentation by the Eastleigh Village Hall Committee, followed by a question and answer session. Alan Wheatley. Which slide? Good Lord.
Alan Wheatley, Chairman of the Eastleigh Village Hall Charitable Trust. As Mark has run through, made an approach, I'm not prepared for this. The village hall, myself, was approached by Woods Builders in August, and basically this building is currently under offer. Not for the full amount that we need, but we're pretty confident we can raise the balance. In talking to Joe Barham, I learned about the football club's plans. We got together and talked, and it seemed like a good idea in combining our efforts. The football club would get a much nicer pavilion, and the village hall could use or be located in a building which didn't cost a fortune to run. The prime example of that is 2 years ago, in the financial year 2023-24, utilities bill for this building was £10,980. The hall didn't take more than £22,000 in total that year. The hall itself is run by volunteers. I'm a volunteer, I do not get paid for this.
Alan, you need to speak up quite a bit. I'm sorry, the people that won't be able to hear.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
No problem, thanks Phil. The hall is run by volunteers. I'm a volunteer, I don't get paid, nobody gets paid, we do it in our own time because it's a great hall, or it could be. But when you get to dig down into the numbers, it's a bit of a sowsier. It's very expensive, there is no insulation apart from a very small amount in the roof, and the double glazing, which is only there because the old windows fell out. The proposal was to build a similar sized hall to what you see here, with attached badminton court, because we have been asked for sports facilities and have been unable to provide it. Includes another stage, because that stage is now working and has brought in over £1,000 off the few concerts that we've run recently. The offer from Woods Builders is that they would build the new building out of their own funds, and we've checked their financial situation, and they've got working capital of £900,000 at the moment. That's reduced from last year because they're in the middle of a big project now. So there's very little risk there. When that building is built, then all the hirers of this hall would just lift up their yoga mats, tai chi bits and bobs, whatever, and move into the hall. The snooker club likewise, but that might take a few days. The offer does not include the front car park, which I know is a big issue for people. The car park will remain the property of the village hall, will be kept up by the village hall for the villagers to use free for shopping as it is now. It is a huge commitment on hall funds. When I took the role over less than 2 years ago, this place was losing money, and quite considerably. That has changed through the efforts of a dedicated team who have cleaned the hall properly. The toilets work and don't smell like a French village in summer. If there's any French people in here, I apologise for that one. And our diary wall is a lot fuller than it was 18 months ago. We did an analysis, and the hall is now making, in average, £1,500 a month clear.
Can you move off the speaker?
Sorry. And that doesn't include the snooker club, which is run totally separately, and will hopefully make £7,000 this year. We're forecasting to make somewhere around £10,000 to £12,000 in the hall here now, this year. If the new building goes ahead, then the suggestion is that there will be an overall committee that looks after the building. That will be the village hall, the football club, the snooker club, possibly the parish council, and instead of spending 25 to 40,000 pounds a year, as we have done recently in repairs and renewals to this building, that money can be allocated to other facilities in the village, which if the parish council are on board, they can help decide where that money is spent. So we're trying to build a community hub that not only serves the community, but generates money for the community. Yeah? It's going to take time. All we need is a site to build this new building, which is why we approached the parish council. As Mark says, they said no, but it's a village hall for the use of the villagers, hence the need for a vote. That is written into our constitution for guidance. So hopefully that gives you an idea as to where the hall is coming from. And now, if it's okay with you, I'm going to pass over to my colleague Kevin from the football club.
Hi, good evening everyone. I'm Kevin Gilligan. I've been playing for Eastleigh Football Club for about 15 years, and it is a fantastic club to play for. I've recently become Vice Chairman of the football club for a number of reasons, but one of them was the fact that we know that we need a new changing room. The current clubhouse is essentially condemned. We can't encourage new players, whether it be grassroots or even men's players, because we simply don't have changing room facilities. So if I take a step back so you understand the process. So the first question that we wanted to answer ourselves as a football club is how we can continuously play matches on the current Gun Park. At the moment, there are a number of games that are having to be cancelled because of bad weather and the fact that the pitch is being used so regularly it can't go. So at the moment, all of our sides are having to rotate using the Ash Football Club. So we're not even playing our home games at home. So that was the first part of what we're looking at you to answer. In terms of questions about why this is a problem now as opposed to what it may have been 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, back then there was a men's club. We've developed and had several men's clubs. We've now trying to encourage grassroots football for the community. We've got under 7s, 9s, 10s, 12s, 14s, all the way up to 18. Now, if you can imagine one pitch in the winter that we just had trying to cope with that number of games, it's simply not sustainable. That combined with the fact that the pitch, it does not drain well, there are a number of issues that start to creep up. So the fastest quick fix that we've got is to find somewhere else to pay on a temporary basis. So that's, there is a pitch question. So over the district council, along with the parish council, there was an assessment carried out by a company called Consortium. They have basically assessed both the changing room and the pitch as very poor. They came over in, I think it was September, give or take, and it was an incredibly dry day, having followed 7 wet days. They looked at the pitch and there was no question mark about it. I was over there with Debbie and yourself, Joe, and we've since had a report to say we think it is both the building and the pitch very poor. They would support 2 pitches. Parish Council, as the introduction earlier by Mark, they also support 2 pitches. So that's part 1 of the process. How you get that to work is impossible unless you actually get rid of the existing clubhouse. So that's part of the design process that had to be thought through right from the outset. So to now have a pitch or a site plan, we've managed to work it within Sports England and the FA guidelines so we can have 2 pitches, one rotating the current pitch so it runs along the back of the site plan, and we can get a junior pitch below it. But as well as actually providing a space for the pitches, both are going to have specialist drainage carried out on them, so that actually you're not providing just a space, but the actual pitches are going to last longer and they're going to be able to be used a lot more frequently. So that's going to provide longevity and sustainability for the football club. Most importantly, not just the men's side, but all of the youth sides. Grassroots football for this community is essential. The youths need an outlet, and it's not just the youth club run by Joe. We need to provide activities, and football on the Gun Park is the best way to try and give the youths, both boys and girls, that we're currently involved in teams all the way up to under 18s, who are all fully involved with. So that's number one. Then we need to talk about how we deal with the existing clubhouse. To be able to do the pitches, we cannot have a new clubhouse in the existing position because it simply doesn't work. If you try and do that, then the second pitch doesn't work. So they're all intrinsically related to one another. We were looking at what I should call my plan A. Plan A was simply to design a new clubhouse for Eastleigh Football Club. Those conversations started, and at the same time as those conversations were being had, I was introduced to Alan. Would it be possible to potentially bring both a new clubhouse design and a new village design together as one combined project? Initially, I thought, well, that's going to be fun. It's a much bigger project, clearly. So I had a number of meetings with Alan to understand exactly what the current use of this building was, and also trying to understand how he wants to take the building forward. Obviously, badminton is one particular thing that's been mentioned already. That, as soon as we talk about badminton being a use for the, or within the building, we then got to think about widths. We've got certain widths for a court, we've got certain heights for a court. So it's an important thing to add, as well as not just the Gun Park being used for football, all of a sudden we're starting to open it up to other sports and other uses. The benefit of having a badminton court as part of a potential combined scheme is that you've then got a dual use for when it's not being used. You've got when the stage is being used for presentations and such like. Obviously that space, the badminton space, badminton court can be used for seating, just like you guys sat here today. The court would have a dual purpose. So moving forwards, it was never the intention to have a much bigger building on the Gun Park. However, when we start to understand the problems and the costs of trying to maintain this building, which of course, as you know, started out as an engineering building, it was never originally a village hall, it was made to fit that purpose. We're now trying to take and be fluid moving forward to provide a new building to take the community forward, so that they've got a new building for the future. We know, and it's a sore subject, there have been housing schemes that have not exactly ticked the boxes for the villagers, and it is a sore subject. We also know that there's probably more houses coming, a lot more houses coming. We don't want to continue to try and make this building survive. We want the new building to flourish. We want it to be the heart and soul of the new village. And that is what we're here today to discuss. The single most important thing that I really want to kind of stress to everyone here today, we have not, or I say I have not designed this building with pre-app, which is pre-planning advice, with Dover District Council. It has certainly not gone to a planning application. Neither of those two things can happen unless you guys, women, children, families, can all agree that actually just in principle, that's all we're talking about today, just in principle, that a scheme like this could be sited on the Gun Park. If through these 3 public consultations we establish that principle, then fees for taking the project forward can be unlocked. What does that mean? Formal traffic assessments, formal parking assessments, ecology, sustainability, all of the things that a building would have to tick the box for if it was to go forward to a formal plan application. We're not there. This building, even though it looks like a completed scheme, I've had to go a lot further than I ordinarily would at this stage because you guys are going to want to understand what you're actually voting for. If you can't see it, what are you voting for? And this was one of the issues that came up at the extraordinary meeting, which got a little bit feisty. People didn't know what they were saying yes or no to. It was a little bit premature in terms of having a conversation about do we or don't we want anything. What you see around the hall now are the images of the building that have been developed. One of the key drawings you probably want to have a look at is the building, well, it's the drawing on the left there. That's a site plan showing exactly how the building will be located on the gun park. If you guys have got any questions whatsoever, they're here to talk. We don't want to be a them and us, we want it to be a conversation. Because as I say, at this moment in time, it is about establishing the principle, shall we allow this project to go forwards and see if A, the planners support it, B, it actually gets forward or supported by the planning authority to go past from a pre-app stage to a full planning stage. But we are not there yet. All we want to do is say, would you be happy to give up the front part of the existing gun park to allow this building to be moved over to the gun park and for a facility to be taken forward into the next generation for all our future children? That's what we want to achieve the principle of. I'll sit down, I'm sure there's going to be a Q&A later, but that's really the summary of where we got to, how we got there, and yeah,
You say you're the architect.
I'm the architect.
You want to take any questions between you?
Yeah, we'll take questions.
Yeah, if you raise your hand, we'll try and do it in the sequential order. Back left was first.
Two-part question. Can you first of all clarify to me how this is going to be funded?
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Sorry, two-part question.
Yeah.
Can you first of all clarify to me what the funding is for this?
Right. The offer from Woods Builders is in the region of £850,000. 850,000. There is already £100,000 from the English FA.
There was initial conversation that suggested that there's a grant would be in the region of 100 grand from the football side of things, but that's a conversation we haven't taken further at the moment because obviously we need to establish a principle before those conversations start to ramp up in terms of being a real bona fide submission.
So the money which you receive from the sale of this building will then be transferred into it. There's no question of Woods being responsible for the building of that building.
Sorry, I don't follow.
Well, sorry, I was originally under the impression that Woods actually be constructing this building as part of the deal.
Yes, Woods would only take possession of this building to the High Street upon the signature of village hall representatives to say that the new building is fit for purpose.
Okay, but that was the second part of the question. What is the timeline here that this would be built before this was decommissioned?
So that really comes back to if after the third public consultation the voting goes in favour of actually taking forward the planning, the first step would be pre-planning advice application. That's give or take, you're probably looking at 2 to 3 months, and then if that's supported at that stage, you're then going on to a full plan application. Each of those stages, there's more and more assessments, more and more surveys, so
More and more money.
Not guilty. Yeah, so you're probably looking at least, from the standing start now, we're probably at least half a year away to be able to, if the boxes are being ticked along that process, we're probably looking at probably half a year away from actually getting planning application agreed.
No, that's not the question. The question is, this would be built before this was decommissioned.
Absolutely,
Yes.
yes, yeah. You're probably looking at about a 3-week decant period, mainly to do with the snooker tables. So once you've got a building finished over there, the decant from here to there, and that's the crucial part of this, nothing happens to this building unless that one's finished first.
and that is finished to the specification which is agreed.
Absolutely.
Alright, Joe was next, and then the little lad at the back. Put your hand down, I'll come to you next.
What will happen to the skate park that's there now?
So at the moment, the skate park is not in the best of conditions, as we know.
Yeah, we know that.
At the moment, there's 2 or 3 options that are being looked at. One is another position on Gun Park. One of the positions being talked about is, there is a piece of land behind the existing Gun Park at the top. There's a little something gardens.
Yeah.
That's been considered as an option, but at the moment, we don't want to start having a conversation that gets too detailed.
This brings me on to another question, really. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Which my wife actually brought up the other day. When you've got kids, young kids, you've got one that wants to play in the skate park and one wants to play in the park. So while that kid's in the skate park, you can watch the other one in the play park. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So now,
Which
in
is
your swimming reckoning, you're going to whiz the skate park out of view.
It was only one of the options. One of the other options.
Yeah,
is still
I really,
Gun
yeah.
Park.
It has to be near the actual park.
Yeah, one of the positions that we were actually considering is behind the youth club. So that it's
Behind?
Behind the youth club.
So that's still out of view from the play park.
Well, no, because one of the things that we've thought about in terms of the positioning of the actual building at the moment is we've designed the cafe to be on the corner. So one of the things that we want to do is to be allow viewing towards the play park,
Yeah.
youth club, and up the park for the football. So that was the thinking there.
That will be up for discussion though. won't it?
Absolutely.
Okay, Joe?
Yeah, it's come done.
Can we go through the little lad at the back?
So do you know that there are children that walk across that path to get to school?
Yes, we do.
Well, you are pretty much putting the children of East Street School lives pretty much at risk, because at the moment the driving along the path in the high street and that is already chaotic. If you add 2 miles of clear as well, that's going to add another problem. And with the way actually putting the new village schools in the gun park, you were literally causing the pathway that children pass literally lost. And now it's in the middle.
So probably the best way to answer that. Thank you very much for your question. So, thank you very much for your question, and very well said, by the way. So, most importantly, any children wanting to cut across from where the school is at the moment to the youth club to where the play park is at the moment is not affected by the position of this building. So that's the sorry.
Because there was talk that the car park that they would have to cross.
It may well have been yourself that raised the question at the last meeting, or one of your friends. That drawing over there shows a redesign so that there is no part of the building that's cut off from the road. There's now been a path being added on the left hand side, there's a path, an existing path on the right hand side. They are all interconnected, so that as soon as you cross over from Wilmot Place in the way that you would at the moment, there's a pathway that connects all around the building, all around the car park, and nobody has to cross the car park or roadway to get to the grass. I responded to, because it was a really, really valid point that was made, we've responded to it. The design now shows that the path has been added.
Thank you very much for the question.
Thank you.
Very well said. Penny was next, and then Josie.
With all due respect to football, some people love it, I don't, but I do respect it, I think it's a great. It does seem to be very football orientated, and with the size of the building that's devoted to the football side of it, would that also be used for other things? Like
Yes, the snooker club is above.
the snooker club, but what about badminton?
There's a-
Yeah,
so
so
it would be multifunctional.
this scheme wouldn't go ahead if it was purely for football. This would
Right,
be a panel.
and what about things like walking your dog? Because it appears to me that the whole thing is now going to be football fields.
No, so the football, one of the things we've had a conversation many times about this is obviously walking your dogs is simple. I've got a dog, I know how to handle walking is to everybody here. Obviously we use a football match or play a football match between 10:30 and 12 o'clock on a Saturday and Sunday. Then any time outside of that, the gun park is still available for everything. The only difference you're going to know between whether it's a pitch or not a pitch is a white line you walk over. These are not going to be specialist pitches. We're not talking about 3G or 4G artificial pitches. It's just lines and grass. That's the only thing that will change.
And my last bit about this football thing, you know, there is already an existing youth club there, which seems to struggle to actually keep open with not enough volunteers for human rights and that kind of stuff.
I'd probably just jump in first and foremost. The youth club and the land to it has never been any part of this project. One, because it's its own land. The second, it's managed by someone completely separate. And thirdly, it's got 2 nights where it's open every single week, and it is always busy on those 2 nights. If it could potentially be more, but it's not struggling, and it's offering a fantastic service, not just for the people of East Street, but I know for a fact that they're coming for as far as Alsham.
It just seems that there should be much more collaboration together with all these activities running around.
We can't use the youth
There is a
sector.
will.
No, where there's legal ownership and it's either owned by someone who isn't.
Okay, thank you. Josie?
Sorry, we live just we overlook the gun park. It's absolutely filled with people all the time. For sport, for dogs, for walking with children, and it's our park. It belongs to us, that green space. I just can't believe that you're going to build something such a huge thing right there and taking our grass away.
So
And what would David Attenborough say?
First of all, so the grass is important to everyone. So it's funny that you should talk about David Attenborough because the design has been to include a ceiling roof that goes over the top. That ceiling will actually bring in additional wildlife. That's not just there at the moment because grass only supports a certain amount of wildlife. The building has been designed so it's actually as sustainable as possible. There's 2 sections of roof there that will actually be ceiling roof. David Attenborough will be flying a flag for a roof like that because it actually encourages more wildlife.
You're taking grass and ground.
When the calculation, just I'm going to use loose numbers. So at the moment we've got a building that's circa 780 square metres. We've got parking that is loosely 1,200 square metres. So you're looking at around about 2,000, give or take, for the parking and the building. In terms of the site plan, we're looking at 10.5% loss of grass for the building. But when you take into account the sheer volume of grass that is going to be left beyond that building, we are going to be creating a hub that families are going to be able to encourage, be able to use even more than they are at the moment. They're going to be on site, they're going to be able to not just walk their dogs there, have a cup of tea, look and enjoy their families whilst they're walking their dogs, have a cup of tea, have something to eat. It's actually, we want to create that hub, we want to build upon the community spirit that we've got here. You guys are passionate, I'm passionate, I wouldn't have played for East Street Football Club for so long. I wouldn't be trying to drive the grassroots process as much as I am. I know grass is important, however, community and actually having a sense of place is absolutely crucial as well. And what we're trying to do is actually bring all of that together.
Lady in the end here, I'll come to you.
So, I have 50k from the developer, 100k from the sort of foundation where we're getting that from. Is that enough to build that?
At the moment, we're looking at any shortfall, the village hall are going to be looking for grants, we're going to be looking for grants. Well, the conversations we're already having is that we're going to actually have more than we need. We're looking at a build that's finger in the air, and as I say, sometimes if you're listening to things like that, you don't necessarily want to hear finger in the air, but we are talking about a principle at the moment. We will not be able to take this project forward unless when a cost plan is developed. The cost plan will be...
What happens to the football club if this doesn't go ahead?
I revert back to plan A. It's as simple as that. So plan A is a clubhouse only, just for East Street Football Club.
And how would you get that from?
Sorry?
Would you get that through grant funding?
Grant lottery funding, exactly, yeah. It's because of the fact that we're losing our current facility, and because Dover District Council have already supported the fact that we need a new facility. If this doesn't happen, and it'll be For me personally, it would be a travesty if it doesn't. The football club will continue come what may. It will be a lesser scheme, but we will still have a scheme.
You'll still have the village hall,
Yeah.
and the village hall will still be chasing £150,000 worth of repairs and renewals, just to bring it up to reasonable.
Can I take questions in order? Can I take questions in order?
No, it is.
Can we keep the questions in order so that we don't fall into a big discussion? Simon was next, and then
Thank you.
the gentleman.
Have Woods reevaluated the estimate on building this new hall?
Not at the moment,
Are they here tonight?
no.
You would have thought they would have been here tonight, as it's if
Un-
they're
un-
building it and they're taking over this.
Unfortunately, Woods Junior is in Italy and Woods Senior is in, so.
What we don't want to do is happen what happened at the
Really
last
don't want
meeting. We are talking about simply a principle of can we or can't we establish a building on the site.
But we need to know how much it's going to cost.
Of course, and as I just said to the lady there,
It's
if
We're talking about principle, Simon. There's
it
no
will not go ahead.
It
if
might
you
cost
can't
2
afford it.
million.
No, it won't.
It could be close, yeah.
So, look, have you done your cost map?
Sorry?
Have you done a cost map?
I'm the builder, I do.
Have you done a cost map? Right, so in that case, well, you just said 2 million. How do you know 2 million? We've got to talk real numbers, but all we're talking about at the moment is the principle. If we can agree the principle, we can start looking at the numbers. We can't start going into the level of detail of cost plan, project managers, and all of the surveys that are needed for pre-plan application, unless we know that there is a chance, or actually we know that the parish council are in agreement. The parish council are only going to agree to this if the people eventually say yes to it. So once the principle is agreed, we go to pre-app. After the pre-app, or as part of the pre-app process, we have a cost plan, a project manager. All of the numbers will start to stack up. At any point, if this building is considered unviable because of cost, project stops. It's as
I
simple as
thought it
that.
would been worked out reasonably accurately. As a ballpark figure.
People don't work for free. People don't work for free. We've had an estimate, and the estimate is between 1.2 and 1.4 million. But it is no more than an estimate because.
Who's done that?
So, no, I've spoken to QS. So QS has looked at it and has said, well, if you were to ask us to do a formal cost plan, our fees would be this. You don't want to know what the fees are. So the fees can only be unlocked if the principle is unlocked. If the village agreed to the principle, the next stage can be unlocked where all the other surveys will be paid for by the village hall. They've got their own committee, they won't spend any more until the principle is agreed. So that's all we're talking about. That's why we don't want to get too dragged. What you're looking at on the walls at the moment, that is of a standard well beyond pre-app. That scheme costs around about £12,000 to design. I can tell you now, I haven't got £12,000 in my bank.
Okay, I think we can move on from that. It's going to be a costly exercise. Gentleman left hand front.
Can I just ask a two-part question? One is, first part is, have we exhausted all other alternative locations for the building? Or is it just because it's there at Gun Park now, that's been the automatic assumption that that's where it must be?
All other sites come with the extra cost of buying the land.
Yeah, so that's great. So my follow-on part of the question is, you mentioned the additional building that's coming to East Street. So as part of that planning permission process, is there any way that we can leverage that so that we say, well, yes, you want to build these houses, then yeah, we're going to go for that, but if you want to build the houses, then you've got to build us a football place, a village hall, and supply for the football
section 106 stuff, yeah.
So they pay for all of that. We can then still sell the village hall, and then we've got whatever we get for the village hall that we can stick into our fund. So we're getting it all for free. They're getting their houses they want. We're going to be potentially politically forced towards that anyway. But actually, we can hold them over a barrel and actually get something out of it
I would
ourselves.
say that the biggest concern as someone who cares deeply about history is hospital site. If you have someone saying, yeah, we'll do that, and you can put that over there. And if that falls through, you could be in a situation where you've got no village hall.
Yeah.
That's the generational element of this offer. We do not decant from this building or do anything to this building until that one's built.
Absolutely.
And that is something we can't get anywhere else.
But you could potentially do that. You know, yes, you want to build 100 houses wherever in East Street. You can do that, but as part of that 100 house build, you've also got to build the football club and the village hall building. But once that's completed, then up until that time we still own the building, even when it's completed, even when we have
to explain a little bit
Can
about.
we just give you some information about section 106? Only to say, because there is a planning application in at the moment that has alluded to funding available for the gun park and rebuilding on it, and that is the planning application that has not been decided yet. The planning application down the pond. The planning application down at the pond, if you've looked at the documents on the Dover District Council planning portal, it says within there that is what they would give money for. Dover District Council decides the section 106. The Parish Council can ask, and the Parish Council have asked Dover District Council, not for that particular planning application, but in general, for funds towards improving the gun park and improving building facilities within the village for the community. So Dover District Council know that that is what East Street Parish Council want, but until the planning application is granted, the section 106 legal agreements would not be drawn up.
So that then tempers some of the decisions for us here. So in principle, we could take that into consideration that actually it might be a better looking outcome than we're currently thinking about, but we don't know until this.
Nobody will know until the planning application is agreed and the legal agreements are drawn up, and that is down to Dover District Council. They decide on the section 106. I mean, KCC says so much for doctors, so much for libraries. So KCC makes some of the section 106 decisions, DDC makes others. But there are no promises at the moment, because until you get the planning act, you don't get the section 106.
Sure, and time scale that they might decide about.
I think it says the end of the month.
No, they're cancelled. We've seen them all.
Oh, right. Okay. It's not on the committee, it's the decision on the portal.
Which to answer your question really, if we go back to what I said, this is about establishing a principle. If we can establish the principle, all we're doing is keeping our options open. If you don't agree to this, we're potentially
we can't hear it.
Sorry,
we can't hear what you're
saying. I wasn't the squeaky ball. So the gentleman saying there, he's absolutely right. You should consider all options. If we agree to the principle of supporting this building, we're actually keeping our options open, because if that application, what we're talking about, actually progresses, there could be alternatives. And as much as work has been done on this scheme, if there is something that presents itself better to the community, I'm not going to stand in the way of something that could be better. All I want to do at the moment is keep our options open. So all I want to do is establish a principle to say, yes, history villagers accept the principle of the building, but we are all only keeping our options open until an application for pre-app is put forward to this building, whilst the other applications are decided by both district councils.
Absolutely. So what you're asking is that you're asking that people think about and understand that there's a need for this building, where that building is located.
Absolutely.
At this particular moment in time, could be anywhere within East Street or outside of East Street even, if that's the best suggestion. So really it's just, is there a need for this? Which seems pretty blatantly obvious that there is. And then therefore thereafter, once you have a formal kind of outcome from DDC and everything else, then there'll be a further meeting where we can kind of vote for it and everything else.
We're concentrating on, let's be clear, the decision that the parish has been asked to make, parishioners has been asked to make, is to use the gun park for this new building.
That is the question that Parish Council needs to know the answer.
But until you know what DDC are going to decide with the other.
We can't know that. DDC will make a decision if we allow it to go through. It may get rejected, it may be approved. If it's objected, then it's up to the village hall and the football club to decide is it an application. So the question tonight is, do you want this building to go on the gun park? Full stop. Okay, thank you. Right, I've got a number of people in. Christine first, but then the gentleman in the middle at the right-hand side who had his arm up a few minutes ago. Christine, please.
I've got three parts to mine. Firstly, the pitch work that you've spoken about to improve the drainage, what does that involve? Are you going to be digging up?
I'm not even going to lie to this, but basically it means scraping off a layer off the top and putting in more drainable material below it, just to allow the water to pass through, and then it's relayered, so before and after you'll be none the wiser to what's there. The grass will still, it will just be a grass.
It's improving the grass.
Yeah.
You need the existing pitch to drain.
And that's coming from the football club funding, is it?
Yeah,
Right.
and we get
I'd like to ask about the title to this village hall, because I did try looking it up on the land registry and I couldn't find it.
You can't
So-
say what you said, sorry.
I couldn't.
About the title for this building.
The title for this building, I couldn't find it on the land registry. Do you have it?
Not at the moment, but within the next couple of weeks we will do. It was another huge omission by previous committees of never applying themselves to that problem. We started that process a year ago, before we actually, I met Kevin, simply because it was such a blatant omission from what the hall had. So it's been a long process, it's been an expensive process, but we are very, very close to finishing it. It will be within, certainly this month.
Right, and there's no question around that, because I know of other situations where a charity responsible for operating a community hub does not actually own the building. It runs the community hub, and it has a management committee and so forth, similar to here.
Are we talking about the new building, the proposed new building?
Well, I was really looking at this building initially, because it can't be sold to a developer if we don't.
Charitable Trust owns this site, the building, the car parks, the garages, the broken wall at the front. That is owned by the Charitable Trust. It's just that it's never been recorded on the land registry.
Right. So you've got the papers and you're just submitting them.
The solicitors are dealing with it. As I say, it's been 12 months going on, but we are very, very close to finishing it. We wouldn't be this far along with this exercise if we were still umming and ahhing about land registry.
And lastly, can I just ask about the cafe that you've been speaking about? I hadn't picked up on that previously, so you're planning to have a cafe that's perhaps a franchise or something?
I've got a gentleman in the wings wanting to run the cafe 6 days a week.
Right.
We have a kitchen here which gets used about 6 hours a week.
Yeah. Hirers use the kitchen, don't they? I mean, would they
Not
be
often.
Well, I have.
Yes. The most popular user of the kitchen at the moment is the parish council, 3 hours every fortnight. The other 3 hours are amongst oddball hirers that want. Most of our hirers use this hall. Yes. Use this hall and the toilets. They don't bother with the up that end of the building.
So can I just ask, would hirers be able to use a kitchen?
That's a good question. Depends for what purpose.
Well,
I mean, the number of instances where people have actually used the kitchen as a kitchen and the cooker in my 23 months in the seat, I can only remember once.
So what, I have one?
Sorry?
So what, I have one?
It was historically there.
I mean, I used to come to the mother and toddler groups, and we use the kitchen every single time.
Yeah.
And we've used it for
used
parties.
There used to be a very popular big breakfast here. But again, it's dependent on volunteers. At the moment, we have no volunteers who want to chip in. and run a breakfast. So we've got this lovely kitchen now, and nobody wants to actually work in it.
So, but I would like an answer to the question eventually. Will hirers be able to use a kitchen in the new hall?
As I say, I hadn't thought about it, but I'm sure we can work something out with the gentleman that wants to use it as a business and rent the space off the hall.
And again, it's probably worth just moving on to other questions. It's probably worth just stressing the fact that there is a generic plan, one of the drawing top right there, that's been developed with Adam. That plan could change an awful lot once we start to speak to the village in more detail, because the principle has been agreed. Again, we're talking about a building with on grass. The layout of the building could change. The facilities within that building could change. At the moment, we're talking about simply talking about the principle of the building. The precise layout and design, to have that at this stage, before we've even gone to the step of pre-app, is just, you asking questions are almost premature, but equally I understand why you're asking them. It's a little bit of a chicken and egg. With no fees available for myself to actually design the building and have a fully coordinated meeting with everyone who may or may not want to have a say in it, it can't happen without design. Design can't happen without finish. So I've taken it as far as I can to show an indicative layout, but the main thing is establishing the principle of the building on the grass. That's all we're talking about.
We move the questions, we've got a lot more questions. There's a lady in the glasses in the middle of the right.
Yes, so one of my questions was about, if there was a new build, would it be completely kitted out? And I was assuming there was always going to be a kitchen, because we have a kitchen here, and it has a village hall that gets used for the coffee orders, etc. So you're saying there may not be a kitchen. Okay, I've understood that, which I find a bit odd.
No, there is going to be a kitchen. It's just I haven't had the conversation with the gentleman concerned as to whether we can have it for half a day, a fortnight.
And so, okay, so we take that a step further. Is this going to be something we have to pay for a coffee and tea? It's a cafe working, he's going to charge people to go in there.
If he's working as a business, then
yes, it should be a business cafe.
Yes, but for the coffee morning, we'll work something out. We know there are a lot of people that enjoy the coffee morning.
Right, so the point is the money that's going to be used by Woods to kit out, is it to be fully kitted out?
Yes.
With a kitchen and everything in it? We don't have to fund any of it.
Yeah.
Village Hall doesn't have to fund any of it.
It's to be ready, move, you walk in and use straight away.
Right, okay, thank you.
Okay.
When you talk about the parking at the front remaining, again, I understand that you mean once the build's done. While the build is going on, should it go ahead, there's no way surely that can still be open to the public to park on for however long it might take to build the 5 properties because of health and safety and obviously things coming in and out. I guess that's the point, is it?
I can't answer for Woods Buildings, but I would have thought they would use the back building rather than the front building, because they can't do anything with the frontage of this building.
No, but sorry, deliveries, brickwork, any cement, it's all got to come through the front, hasn't it?
Yes.
Is there going to be another entrance?
No.
No, so they're
It
going
won't
to
be a car park, will it? It'll be a building yard.
Yes, it can't be a car park while it's being built. It's only a question.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
a yay or nay.
It's a point I can take up with Woods Builders. There is a lot of space at the back here. It means that people that are currently parking their cars at the back are inconvenienced, and I'm sorry.
I just don't see, I'm just wanting to make a point to people. I don't see how it can be used as a car
To
park.
maybe better answer your question, I think there's certain, and again, we're almost jumping a little bit too far forward, but nonetheless, we point to value. We can actually impose certain conditions on the bill. There can be a health and safety plan that answers a lot of the concerns. There can be certain things that can be put in place. We're shaking heads, sir, but we can put, if we, and the one we of the village, don't fully come on board with the project and they can't answer all of the questions, then the scheme doesn't go ahead. It comes back to almost like the gentleman about the cost. If the cost isn't right, it doesn't go ahead. If there's certain conditions that aren't in place, there's going to be pre-commencement conditions that are put in place by the planning commission or the planning decision. So there's certain things that will be definitely put in place for further down the line, if we can establish the principle now for the project, when it gets to planning applications, you can bet your life Dover Council will be very, very, very firm on what pre-commencement conditions are going to be part of that condition. So it's, we can't answer some of the questions because we simply aren't that far down the line yet. But we know how important the park is out there. We would want to have that as part of the project going forward.
We can move it on. Cynthia's next, and then the lady standing at the rear, the gentleman with his arm up now. I've got you after Cynthia. Yeah, you did.
Have you got, you keep saying it's the principle, but people need to ask all these questions because they need to understand how the whole process is going to work.
Absolutely.
I can't hear you talking about a potential 5-year plan for the village. You know, this is a big project in the village. I don't disagree or agree with it at the moment, but it's a big project. So surely you should also have a 5-year plan about how you're going to develop the community. And it doesn't need to be just football focused, it needs to represent everybody in the village. Old, young, new, everybody. So you can't keep shutting everybody down. You keep saying it's the principle, you need the principle. Everyone needs to ask everybody about how the process works and how it goes forward, which is what we're trying to do. And I'd also just say, what, and it was raised at the last one, why have you not gone to ask a lottery funding for the sports and for the village hall? Other communities do that. Why have you not explored that option? That was asked at the last meeting, and I don't think
So, first of all, at the last meeting, there wasn't 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 drawings.
I don't know, I didn't see them.
Well, no, or maybe you should, because what you're asking
Well, hang on a
is
minute.
the 11 drawings that have been produced for you, so you can see. That's why I've done the work.
I understand that, but the point I'm trying to make is you keep shutting everybody down. And what we're trying to do is establish all the facts about the whole process. I still haven't got an answer about why.
Well, maybe if you let me answer the question. Yeah. So I've not shut anybody down. I've answered every single question that's been asked of me. What you're asking about, what's the 5-year plan for the community? We're talking about a facility that is going to offer every single offering that this building has and more. The stage, we have measured the stage and made sure it's bigger. Badminton is wanted in here, it can't be had in here, so we've included that within the scheme for the community. We've considered where potential space could be used for rental and hairdressing space, for dog grooming, spaces that are flexible for the community. We've made sure that there's meeting spaces for the community. We've made sure that the parish council have got not only a meeting space, but also office space. If they want it. Because it's all up for grabs at the moment. The football club has got their portion of the building, because that is obviously something we need to ensure is provided. I'm not trying to shut anybody down.
No, but I'm just going to just say, you've only just highlighted all those points by me asking a question. All we talked about earlier was the football pitch.
No. I think we need to move away. Can we go into another question? Because I think we're just get stuck in this, which is not relevant. It is relevant, but not. We need to move on.
If you want to ask me any question, if you want to ask me any questions about anything that's on the wall, I always ask me.
Okay, gentlemen at the back. That's the one.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry, I apologise if this information is already in the public domain. Is there an indication about the number of dwellings that are going onto this site?
At the moment, I'm led to believe it's going to be 5. 3 here and 2 at the back of the site.
Just 5, not
Yes.
flats, not...
No. But that may change. I'm not a developer. I have nothing to do with this.
Wasn't this going to be flats here?
Back through the chairman, please.
Sorry, I didn't.
Wasn't this going to be turned into flats?
I've never heard that.
Oh, sorry, I may have got the wrong idea. My question, just for clarity, was around how many dwellings were going to be here, given the number of cars that households maintain generally, and how what I think everybody believes is a very vital part of the how the integrity of that would be maintained to ensure that amenity remains.
Yeah, that was stipulated with the developer on the very day that he made the offer to us.
I understand that, but of course, there's no guarantee that someone dwelling here couldn't permanently use one of those car parking spaces. And I think everybody, I'm sure everybody believes that to maintain a village, you need its shops, you need its amenities, and the car parking here, I think, is probably essential to people supporting the post office and the convenience store. And the bakery and the butcher, but particularly those, I know I use it.
Yeah, absolutely.
On average, 180 people a day use that car park for shopping. Not to come in here.
Yeah.
I've done the analysis. I sat down with the video recorder and looked at a whole week in October. And between the hours of 8 o'clock in the morning and 8 o'clock in the evening, I didn't bother with the other 12 hours. There was 180 cars on average during the week. Slightly less on the weekends, unless there was something going on in here. But most of the time, it was around those figures, between 170 and 190, maybe 200 was the busiest day. Yep, that's a lot of people. And they all pretty much respected the fact that they come in, they park, they do their shopping, they come back and they drive away again. We get very few long-term parkers use that front.
Absolutely, my point is yes, but nobody lives on this site.
No, and they will have access to a communal car park between the buildings here and at the back of the site. Why would they park at the front and risk getting damaged?
I don't know.
Can we move on to another question? Claire, it's your question then. Yeah.
So my biggest concern I had about development of the park was whether or not we were going to apply for entertainment and sale of alcohol licence up there.
For an alcohol licence up there.
No,
That's not in the thinking at the moment. What we have allowed for is a cafe with a review gallery out there.
I can't say what's going to happen in the future.
At the moment,
But
if you do, that the pub, the last remaining pub in the village, is Star and Bar's one pub.
Yeah. We've used you for the 6 concerts we've had so far. Yeah. We're going to try running the next one ourselves because there's not going to be many people turn up to it. You don't want to turn up to a small number of people. So we're going to try and run it ourselves. If it's large numbers, we will continue to use your facilities because we don't want the aggravation that
The new place. More people at the new place.
Yeah, but at the moment we have no plans to license it. But I'm the current chairman. I may not be here for another couple of years.
What I'm saying, sorry. If you do decide, as you said, you make a change of mind and apply, if that goes ahead, the pub will not be able to compete with your party. It does pub. It will mean the end of the last.
All the while I'm in the chair, we will not compete with you.
Also,
that was the very first conversation I had with you and your mum back in the day before the first concert. We tried to work it so that we meshed together. Yeah, and you benefited from those 6 concerts, and you will continue to benefit from those 6 concerts if we sell enough tickets. If you don't sell enough tickets, we'll run a bar ourselves. It'll be small beer.
you've got a bar up there and a hall and a bagel.
There's no bar.
There won't be a bar up there, and if there won't be a bar, and if there's a concert up there, you will be able to come in and apply for a temporary licence like you do here. Nothing will change. There won't be a bar up there.
And we would, the relationship that we've got with you and the pub is exactly, we would want to take that forwards.
The pub moving forward, as many of you know, it's up the south, but it's a community.
If they want to do outside bars in the new village hall, then yeah, why not? Because there won't be enough volunteers from the village hall to run the bar, as there is now.
I think we've got an idea.
It'd be an opportunity for the new people, because there'd be more people who'd be able to go to places.
Thank you, Claire. Colin, the next, and then It's a gentleman centre left somewhere that goes on.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got her, she's next. There's a lot of people on the list. I'm trying to catch you as you go. So, Colin.
Yeah, thanks, Christian. Yeah, it's not really a question, it's more a comment really, is that you've asked in principle, to have a facility like that in East Street, if it's going to be like that, it's got to be great. You can't deny that, I don't think. And to have 2 football pitches instead of 1, and have that as a multi-use facility, it's got to be excellent for a village like this. The only thing that needs sorting out, as far as I can see, before you get into all the detail, is the legality of it and the sequencing of it. Who takes the risk?
Woods builders.
Woods builders. Okay, as long as that's legally tied up.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It will be.
Tied
I've
as a
been in
crime.
business for a company director.
The only risk you take
I have a
is if
very
they go
good
bust.
solicitor.
The only risk you'll take is if they go bust, you'll end up with a half-finished.
That'll be the parish
Yeah,
council's
but it's at
responsibility.
their risk, yes, that we are holding the ground. That's
So-
very, very unlikely to
Your
happen.
biggest issue, as far as I see it, is not planning or whatever at this stage. Your first thing is to get legally tied up with Woods. Who takes the risk? If they take the risk, then that's got to be.
They've already verbally agreed to that. We just need to get the solicitors on. But we're at a point where we don't want to spend any more money until the principle is established. Right? As soon as you get professionals involved, you think of a number and then you put 2 zeros on the end of it.
Well, get them to take the risk up front. If they're going to be the beneficiary, they must be the beneficiary of it.
They are
Because they wouldn't do this for love. They wouldn't have this site for love. So let them take the risk up front.
To be completely honest with you, as I said, the number that this would have cost to do, to show all of these 3D images, the 3D model, everything else, would have been silly money. The village hall said we can only do so much without knowing that we've got support from Parish Council. So Woods said, okay, we'll top up, we've done it. So I've had a contribution, not more than a contribution, but I've had a contribution to be allowed to and have the time to be able to show you what's on the wall.
There will be 101 details, which you're not going to sort out here.
No, absolutely.
You keep saying it in principle. And I urge everybody to just go in principle, because you can be here till midnight when you'll be talking about the colour of the curtains now.
Thank you, Colin. If I can move on the question. There's a gentleman who had his hand up with the spectacles next, and then the lady with the green jumper at the after this gentleman. And then it's the little lad at the back again. So if we can go in that sequence, yes, go. Yep. No, afterwards.
You're the second one, Mary.
My concern is this building, lovely old building.
Yeah.
It's said that the front will stay,
Yeah.
but we all know that things happen. When the inside comes down, someone's going to say, oh, it's in a dangerous state, and that'll come down. So that gives Woods carte blanche to do whatever they want. And if you imagine that people will still be able to use the car park when this is a building site, you're in cuckoo land. Because as soon as Woods start building here, that car park will not be exist. You will get lorries coming in, you will get builders delivering stuff. It will not be a car park until this whole building is completed, and by then nobody will be going to the shops, and the shops will shut, and the village will go downhill like a cancer.
Well, the village has got a number of houses, a lot of houses coming. I'm sure there's going to be opposition, and sometimes you've got to go with it, sometimes you haven't. What we're offering is a generational offer that creates a hub that will be the heart that you're talking about here. The parking you're talking about, I absolutely hear what you're saying, and I'm not going to for 1 second suggest that I'm shutting you down. What I'm saying is that has to be a condition that the planning authority has to take into account. And if they compromise that, then they would be taken to task. If we see that is their planning approval is being compromised, you've got an entire village who are going to be up in arms. We can almost police it ourselves, because I know I would.
At no point is the ownership of that bit of the site going to change hands. It will remain the property of East Street Village Hall Charitable Commission. And you raise a good point. but I will make sure that my solicitors put a clause in that remains clear for parking. End of.
It can't do, if you've got
Of course it
someone
can.
coming in here with materials, how are they going to park it?
I think we've got an answer, we've got a question that's finished. Next was Mary at the back.
Yeah, I want to follow on a little way. You say you're going to have a cafe. What impact do you think this is going to have on our existing pub, cafe and bakery? We need those to stay in our village.
I've offered it to the cafe owner, who didn't seem
We
remotely.
don't want another cafe owner, we want to use the ones we've already got.
So the new competition, the new cafe is going to be there if there is the demand for it. Now we, as a football club, we know that we can sustain a certain element of usage of our own kitchenette, cafe, whatever you want to call it. We don't know exactly, just to go back to what I said earlier, the layout internally of that building has not been taken to that level. If there is someone that wants to run a cafe, to have that conversation. If someone in the village wants to almost provide the service, just in the way that we were talking about earlier, about the pub, actually using or actually providing the services, like Charlie was saying earlier, the two can work in collaboration. It doesn't necessarily have to be a them and us. We want to create something for the village that is absolutely the heart of the village. We are not trying to separate, divide or anything like that. We want to create a facility that the entire hub of the community can be created. And at the moment, the parking is clearly something that is at the forefront of everyone's mind. So we're going to approach it. The lady at the back mentioned the pathways. In between the last meeting and this meeting, I've redesigned it in the same way that we can have conversations about whether the cafe is in this position. If it's there at all, it's going to develop. But we can't go that far ahead in terms of designing the internal layout of the building if we don't know that we've actually got a park or a place to put it in the first place. So going back to what the gentleman said, the principle has to be agreed that we put the building there. Whether it actually happens, just being completely honest with you, this could get kicked out of planning stage. We just don't know. But that, to be able to get to the planning stage, we just have to agree the principle of can this building go on the grass. That's all we're talking about.
Thank you, Kev. Right, we've got some more questions. I've got the little lady at the back, the gentleman on the left with the glasses, and then Penny, and then and the lady at the door. Oh, okay, one there. If we can have different questions, because we have a number of questions that are the same thing, and we're just repeating ourselves. So I'll go to the little lad at the back. He's got another question. Okay, no worries. And then gentleman on the left hand with the glasses. Okay, thank you. Penny was next, and then lady at the door.
Yeah, mine's just a quick statement actually, which is to say that I can categorically tell you all that the cafe owner that we do have in Eastern currently was approached about an opportunity there, as was a hairdresser, and nobody's stepped up and said that they want to do it. So
No, the person that's is keen to take on the cafe is not that person.
okay, that's great.
I think I said I approached her and she
yeah.
wasn't interested.
No, it's just to say that I understand.
If she can't stand the competition.
Right, okay, moving on. Can we?
That doesn't help the situation one iota with you saying things like that. I don't understand how you can be so negative to a crowd of people.
Can we just keep the questions and answers rather than personal comments, or we're never going to get through tonight? Yeah, next one was Penny, and then the lady in the door. Put your hand down, I got you. Penny? Oh, she's done that, Penny, so lady in the door.
We've talked a lot about what you're going to be doing in the gun park, but we haven't really talked about this building. You've also said that you've put a lot of money into this building.
Yes.
And you've gotten a lot more people, you're in, a lot more businesses coming in here and doing Zumba and yoga and whatever, so you're in the red now. I do know.
No, we're in the black now.
Black. So there's three things that I know for sure that you guys have done to fix up this building, and I don't know whatever else that you've done, but I know that you've repointed it.
Yep.
you've done a little work to the kitchen, the new dishwasher or something
Yes.
like that, and you've upgraded the heating system so your bills are actually less than what we have in the past.
Yeah.
So you've done all those things already to make this building a little more viable.
Yeah, because those decisions were made before Woods made their approach to us back in August.
All the better, they're already done. So this building is actually a better building than.
But there's still an awful lot needs doing.
It's an old building. Why don't we have crowdfunding? Don't we even talk about crowdfunding for this? There's a lot of things that can be done to get money for this building to look like it is.
Well, that may well happen that may well happen if you know the principal's kicked out, then with the village is lumbered with this building.
Okay.
You don't have to pay the bills.
Okay, we've had to come.
There was some crowdfunding done for the Ravens about 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago, and my husband and I actually donated a chunk for this building to be redone for the Ravens, this changing room, whatever. And that's not been done yet. So you have that money already, and this money that you want to top up with the grants to do the 2 pitches, why can't you do that? Why can't you get that grant money now to do the 2 pitches?
The money would be used to sustain that building as long as possible. Have you been in that clubhouse recently?
I understand it's in
We've
the
still got most of the crowdfunding money.
That
We've
was
only spent
set aside
a couple on the drawing.
for the use.
Okay, I think that's a question for the village hall committee and how they source funding. But there was a gentleman in the right that Andy Farr had identified, or a lady, I can't see. Yeah.
Apart from Woods Builders, has anybody else been asked to value this hall? Do we know that 850,000?
Yes. Yeah, we've had it professionally valued by an estate agent, and he agrees with that, around that value, but it's very difficult to value a building like this because they don't come on the market very often. So it's really what it's worth to a developer. Sorry.
And is there any other developers that?
Oh yeah,
You know,
yes. I approached 2 other local builders,
Yeah.
and as soon as I said about building the new building out of their own funds, they just shook my hand and walked away.
Okay. Thank you. We have, the gentleman did have his hand at the back, I think it was yes.
There's some, forgive me asking this question, but there's something which caused me a little bit of disquiet about something you said. You have done these drawings. You have been paid by Woods to do these drawings.
No. The village hall were asked, I asked if I could have my fees paid. The answer was no, don't have money.
But I thought you said Woods.
Yeah, so I went to Alan and said, I have now, and this was about 3 months ago, I ran out of money, I ran out of time, this is now going to be voluntary, which was the reason I was going to do the original clubhouse project was purely voluntary. To do this, it's as you can see, it's a much bigger scheme. Lots more to consider, even just having the 3D models involved. So I asked Alan if he could increase the fee. The answer was we can't until we know that we've got a principal agreed. So I was going to have to stop work. So he contacted me and said, look, can we at least give a further contribution so that Kevin's not working for free for another 2.5 months? So that was it. It wasn't a, here you go, Kevin, we're Woods, can you, it wasn't that way around. It was they've contributed to help me not work for free for 2 months.
Got Dave, the lady behind, and then Deb.
I don't think access for traffic has been discussed yet, forgive me if it has. I assume the traffic access to the new building would be through the existing roads. What are your thoughts on the fact that there would be certainly increased volume of traffic on what are a series of very narrow roads to that side?
In East Street, as we all know, there's barely a street you go down with it, even in the high street where you have to stop to let another car through, and that's the main high street.
Yeah.
The same applies on pretty much all of the roads around. So we are fully understanding that there could be an issue there. Now, in terms of how you then deal with that, at the moment, Wilmot Place, obviously, as you know, fronts it, there are always cars parked in front of the park. So first and foremost, that's why we've had to take as much as we have in terms of the chance to provide at least minimum 30 30 spaces, they would include disabled bays, they would include EV charging. We know that we've got to provide parking both for the facility and residents.
Yeah.
There is a consideration, something that I've had a conversation with a planning consultant who will be brought in further down the line for the pre-app, if we get the principle agreed, that what could you do to alleviate that? Well, one thing you might want to consider, or a traffic assessor consultant would perhaps suggest, is you could actually restrict the parking actually on the wrong place to actually alleviate that problem if you're providing parking actually in the facility.
Yeah.
So that could actually be a help. How far I go with that, I'm an architect or a traffic assessor, but at pre-app stage, if this principle is agreed, it unlocks the next phase of fees. Traffic assessor is absolutely critical to that, not just for the actual traffic itself, but also the parking.
Yeah, I think you might have a problem there with the increased volume of traffic. So I can't see that another road could be put in.
I'll go back to my previous statement. It is misleading because all the cars that, well, 90% of the cars that use this car park through daytime hours on the week in October that I reviewed, 90% of them didn't use the hall.
I wasn't talking about here, I was talking about...
No. So you've maybe got 15, 20 cars a day going to be using normal plates extra. That's all. And unless this diary fills up considerably.
I was thinking about traffic, the volume of traffic going to the new building.
So am I.
Yeah, you don't think there would be much more?
No.
Okay, sure. All of the people going to use the facility would be...
There'll be an increase.
Okay, can we have a sense of order?
I think it's an issue that hasn't been mentioned, and I thought there would probably be an increased volume of traffic.
I mean, there's what 30 car parking spaces put in.
And not just the parking, but also the parking and the volume of traffic through the roads.
Based on current usage, yes, there will be an increased usage because we're offering more things to more people. Yeah? But at the moment, there's maybe only 15 to 20 cars a day use this car park and come into the hall.
I wasn't saying that there would be. I was asking you what your thoughts were on it. I'm not taking up an opposite position.
No, there will be.
I think that's the answer, if you're happy with that.
But what we won't do is just carry on blindly over an edge of the cliff if the traffic assessment comes back and says actually that facility isn't viable there because actually...
So there will be a traffic assessment?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thanks, Dave. I've got the lady behind Dave, then Deb Russell and the gentleman up there at the back. That's the last three, if that's okay, so before we spend all night here. So it's the lady behind Dave.
As this is the heart of the village, how are you going to get the footfall that's seen here for exhibitions and all sorts of events, that craft fairs and things like that, to go there? Because I belong to an art group that use the Scout Hall. We have an exhibition there, we get about 5 people come. Nobody can be asked to walk around there. They'll be the same for all sorts of other things, and then we'll lose people who come for art fairs and other fairs. They won't bother to come if they don't sell anything. People won't see it going on.
So the question is, how
are we going to address that? Because people won't see the fair going on here because they pass by and see it. They come in and
we counsel. I know, hang on. Right. The village will still own the car park. They will still own the front wall, they will still own the railing, they will still own the notice board on the railing.
But it's not the notice board, they know it around there. They won't walk around there.
Yes, they will.
No, they won't.
Well, I think that's a consideration for the people if they decide that that's going to happen. So,
I suppose, I'd probably say it's almost applying the principle of building and they will come. If the facility is there and there's the ability to either drive or walk through, because obviously there is the cut through. If there's a facility there, people will use it.
They won't bother.
That's your view.
okay, we've got 2 more questions. Deb and then the gentleman at the back on the left.
Hi there. I just want to go back to the comment on the skate park, because when you go through the gun park, after
school, all the kids go either on the skate park or in the play area. Now we're going to lose, if this goes ahead, the skate park will go, because it'll be part of the entrance, won't it, and the car park area. And you mentioned that we could maybe relocate the skate park. Just to make a note that, as I said at the last meeting, that a new skate park will probably cost in the region of £150,000. It costs us 72,000. No, it costs 72,000.
So in the way that I responded to the past question, I went out and got quotes.
Yeah, and what did they say?
The highest one is concrete, like they've got a deal, around about 90,000 max for full concrete. But that's not what we would. If you're comparing like for like, we're probably looking at 50.
Right. So at the moment, we know that the skate park isn't in great condition, and one of the things when the Dover people came around to look at sporting facilities, Joe and I also took them to that and said, look, we need to get this, updated because we feel it's not particularly, it's not unsafe, but it's not state of the art. But even if you say it's £50,000 to £90,000 for a new one, you've got to find a location which will possibly take more of the green space, but also we've got to find that money, and we don't have that money.
Well, one question is obviously at the moment we know that facility is substandard. Area on the side are dangerous. We know that there's people who skate who don't actually want to use the high one because it's actually dangerous. The edges are metal.
Can we just say we do have the skate park inspected
And it is
regularly,
safe.
and it is considered safe by the inspector.
However, what we've got to do is design something that is actually going to be better for the people who actually want to increase the amount of people that want to use it. People don't want to use something because it's too high, because it wasn't necessarily designed in the way that it really should be for the younger ones.
And for what we need now. But all I'm saying is, we lose the skate park, even if it isn't perfect, we're going to lose that, and then if we want a new one, we're going to have to find the money.
We're also
It's
looking
an
at,
extra.
however, we are, I mean, Adam already said that we're already looking at a contribution.
A contribution.
As part of the project.
Okay.
As a parish council.
Thank you, Deb. Last question, if it's last, it's the gentleman at the back, yeah.
Just reiterating on traffic up Huxley and Woodlock Place. I mean, on a Tuesday morning, you have a class in here. I think it's Tai Chi, and there's probably 20 or so cars coming here, and of course everybody's in a bit of a rush to get in that morning. What's that going to be like with the school up, the junior school up there? I mean, I've dropped off, picked up from there, and it's chaos without that. So you can have another 20 odd cars going in and out.
Well, firstly I question 20 people driving to Tai Chi, because that would just about fill all the car parking spaces here. Secondly, Tai Chi starts at 8:30, so the cars will be turning up well before school time starts. Which means on that one morning...
School starts at 8:30. One of the key ways to answer that question is, one of the reasons why it's busy is because you've got so many people parking almost like level to one another, but so that corner that you're talking about is cars everywhere. If they've got somewhere to park, you can actually alleviate that problem, not make it worse.
Okay, brilliant.
Just one quick one.
Last one. We've done 27 questions, which is brilliant. You've got on the hand. That's the 28, yeah.
One quick one. How long will the gun park be out of operation whilst the building's going to be constructed?
Gun park's not going to be out of operation.
Well, surely they've got to put the building up.
But the building will go where it'll only be out of action where the building.
Yeah, but that building obviously got to initiate a car park, they've got the construction site buildings.
It's a little bit like the answer to the parking. There's going to be a very, very scrutinised method statement that it's going to say that the route into the gun park is protected. That's just an absolutely. The grass all around, there's going to be hedge fencing that will make sure that nothing outside of that hedge fencing affects the use of the gun park, whether it's for children, dog walkers,
I've worked on building sites for 57 years, so I know what building sites are. And the other one, just a quick one.
This is the second.
This is the second one. With all respect, this gentleman can do as many drawings as he likes, but people have difficulty in visualising actually on the site how big these things are going to be. Building would there be some game
when you've got your meeting on a Sunday, to maybe have a visit to the park and say the building's going to take that bit up.
We can mark it out.
Yeah, mark it out so people can walk there and say, well, it's only going to take that bit up. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
Or it's going to take all that up. That is a problem.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Thank you. Brilliant. Really good question. That looks like the end of the questions. What we'll do now is do the quick vote, just an indicative vote of how people feel. So, sorry? If those people would like to put their hands up who are in favour of the principle of the idea of moving the village hall and football club to the new facility that you can see on the walls.
Who are on the electoral roll?
Yeah, on the
in
electoral
East
roll. So.
Wait a minute, I need to count. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Keep your hands up for those in favour, please.
Right, sorry, yeah, we've got different numbers.
Back to school, hands really high. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right. Not in favour, and they're on the electoral roll in East Street. Right, indicatively 22 in favour, 52 not in favour.
Any statements?
Right, the meeting hasn't finished. We still have to give our parish council reports. So the chairman will need to give his report briefly, and I will need to briefly give my finance report, and then I don't think Peter Evans is here from KCC.
You don't have to stay for my bit.
No. There are refreshments. We do have wine, juice, sausage rolls.
Thank you for all the questions, those people attending. Thank you for your questions.
Please do come back again to the other meetings if you want to.
Well, if everybody wants to just have a couple of minutes to get the breath back, we'll reconvene. Let people go. Thank you for coming, everybody.
You will have the opportunity to talk amongst yourselves and look at everything. We just need to carry on with the next bit.
There is some nibbles and drinks after, so if you want to hang on, we're more than happy to share them with you. Right, Chairman's report. You should go through this. What does EPC do, Eastern Parish Council do, and what have we done this year? We meet once a month on the first Monday. There are 11 of us in total, but we only have 9, so as I said before, there are 2 vacancies. Planning applications. We make comments as a consultee only. It's one voice, and we're not the planning authority. It's very important that parishioners express their own views to DDC, as that carries the same weight of consultee as ours, as the parish council. So if you've got any objections or pros for development, then submit them to DDC. We listen to parishioner issues via the councillors or the clerk herself. Public rights of way. We've lobbied to have a dead tree cut down on Forge Alley, opposite the Scout Hut. Unfortunately, horses are being ridden along various footpaths through the gun park, which is not allowed. So spread the word if you see any or know any horse owners that are intending to run through the gun park. It's a bit antisocial, and possibly dangerous with small kids around. Traffic issues and concerns, we always raise those. Complaints, 20-mile-an-hour campaign. We've had a couple of attempts at that. It's been unsuccessful in the past, but we would like to consider it again. So we'd like to hear the parishioners' view on that. To get a 20-mile-an-hour restriction speed limit through the village, they have to do a survey and get an average speed of about 24 miles an hour. So if the survey gets started, we'd like to start that, but we want to seek the parishioners' approval. If you see the double little black lines, drive slowly over them, and then we've got more chance to get the data that will support us. Unfortunately, in the past, we haven't been able to do that. The average speed has been about 28 miles an hour, which is not sufficient to get the 20 mile an hour. I think 20 mile an hour on the triangular route around the village would be a real benefit to the parish.
Yes.
Speeding, we have the SID, speed indicator device, that it gets moved around. It hasn't been moved around for the last couple of weeks. That's my fault because I've been rather busy. But anything you've got regard to highways comes forward to us to submit to KCC what's called a HIP, Highway Improvement Plan. So if you've got any ideas for improving the traffic conditions in the village or improving for the pedestrians, then please submit to the clerk or one of the parish councillors. In the last year, we've managed to instigate a traffic calming of cobbles at the either end of Feldon Lane. Some of you may drive over them, not realise what they are, but they were supposed to slow the traffic down. Drop curbs with tactile paving at the pharmacy, and we're awaiting installation of double yellow lines at Cooksley on the corner opposite the primary school. So that's to be implemented soon. The Parish Council would like to ask any ideas from parishioners on what to put forward the next highway improvement plan. We've displayed large lamppost poppies for Remembrance Day. You may have seen them up the road. We think that's a really good idea, really good use of money for Remembrance Day. Speed watch, unfortunately, we have no volunteers, so that doesn't happen at the moment, but if you want to bring it, restart it, then please see the clerk. Construction in the village. Unfortunately, we don't know any more than you do regarding the hospital site, so we're in the dark as much as everybody else is. We manage and pay for grounds maintenance, the gun park, the recreation ground and the churchyard. We've had manager village caretaker Richard Ginn, who you see around with his little trolley, and the weekend caretaker Jane Lennon, who opens and shuts the loops on the weekends. So, they are the eyes and ears of the village, and the toilets are open from April to the end of October, and Richard cleans graffiti off and does all the little jobs that nobody else does. But we're really grateful to him for that. Yeah, and Jane does a great job too, opening, closing the loop on the weekends. Sorry, apologise, Jane. We also manage the allotments. We have a successful split and let some of the larger plots into smaller plots, so we're really busy. In fact, we've got two waiting lists of allotment holders, so that's really good.
Contact me and I'll take you up there on a Saturday morning and show you around if you want to go.
So the SID, the speed indicator device, has 7 locations around the village, which I will start again now. We manage the parish room, that little green shed on the recreation ground. It's free to users, it supports community groups, and we've undertaken some minor repairs to the wood panelling, and it is used primarily by the Bowls Club, as we all know. That is another ongoing project we've got in mind, what to do with that. We have a website and social media, which is Martin's little baby, so thank you to Martin. We held a litter pick in collaboration with DDC, and we've done that twice this year? Once this year, only once. Started at the gun park with the community routes bus and refreshments back at the 5 Bells. Thank you very much, Mary and Claire. Brilliant. Coffee morning, which is now every other week, and we've recently had Kent Fire and Rescue for attending and providing some CPR training and use of DFibs, which is great. Also grateful for the mobile library for attending, and the first coffee morning of the month, the High Kent attend with free batteries and advice for hearing aids, which I'm sure we've made use of. We also stick up the Christmas tree outside the pub and the village hall, which I think is a great asset over the Christmas period. Thank you again to Mary for supplying the power. The parish council is what we commonly call asset rich and cash poor. We have a lot of land, a lot of buildings that we manage, and we don't have a huge amount. As an indication, we have £76,000 a year to run all what we run. So it's very tight, and we have to obviously portion our money appropriately. The gun park, pitches, grasses, trees, pavilion, repairs have been undertaken to climbing cube, we've done the wet pour under the swings, and various benches have been repaired. We have been involved with the DDC playing pitch and outdoor facility strategy consultation, which is identified, as we mentioned earlier, about the condition of our parks. The recreation ground we look after, churchyard and cemetery. A safety inspection was recently undertaken by Cleverlyn Spencer of all the memorial and gravestones, because we realised we had that as our risk. And as soon as a full report is delivered, the clerk will be contact the families who may have unstable structures. Some of you may notice if you walk through the churchyard that some have been laid flat. They've been laid flat because they're considered a risk to falling over, so that's the reason for that. The parade outside the shops, we've repaired the wobbly slabs, but we're hoping to look towards a more permanent solution, which might be redressing the whole top section to make that easier and safer. The pond at the bottom of Lower Street has been returned to the church commissioners. It's now managed by Savile, so the parish council has nothing to do with it anymore. It was a liability, so we decided to get rid of it. 3 play areas: the skate ramp, the new play area, and the wooden one. The wooden play area has had repairs undertaken, some new pieces and some new signs installed. We've lobbied for the block culvert at Lovers Lane to be repaired with the land agent and KCC. And the highlight of the year was the beacon being lit on the 8th of May for VE Day, with over 50 villagers in attendance, which I think is a great event. What can you, the parishioners, do to make Eastleigh a better place to live and work? Report fly tipping, Country Eye or DDC or KCC. That always helps. Public rights of way issues, report to KCC via the website. Email the clerk or speak to a council on any issues that you feel is appropriate. We're always here to listen. Report potholes. Potholes. They're everywhere. I don't think there's a single road in Eastleigh that's not covered by a dangerous pothole that you could possibly lose a wheel. So report it, photograph it, send it to KCC. The more they get, the more they have to work on them. Comment and planning applications by DDC through the portal, and volunteer. We're always looking for volunteers to help out, so to make this a really nice village to live in. And support parish council and village groups and businesses. As the old adage goes, use it or lose it. And I think we're all in that same vein. It's very important that parish council hear people's views about the proposed community hub. It's not a done deal, okay, as has been rumoured. The parish council wants to know what you think. Are you prepared for the gun to be park to be built on? And it's important that even if the parish council did support the idea following the 3 consultations and the vote, it will still be subject to the planning commission from DDC. So we're way off making a permanent decision. Thank you. If you've got any questions, please stick your hand up and I'll quickly answer them so we can get on to the finance report. Any questions? Oh, one. Yeah, go ahead.
If they build that new building on the gun park,
yes,
you're going to take down all the trees along.
Well, we don't build what? They belong to KCC.
They belong to KCC, and that'll be in the planning application stage, however they see fit.
So presumably they will reinstate trees somewhere.
I'm not an architect or planner, so I don't really know. But
I'll give you I've got one last question. So first and foremost, the condition of the trees is going to be assessed. Obviously, the one that came down in the storm the other day, so we know that some of them aren't in the best shape. They're not indigenous, so which means they're not the best trees to have in that location, and they are in danger of obviously damaging cars and potentially even the place itself. What I would do is part of, like I mentioned in terms of the traffic assessments, ecology, those trees would also be assessed in terms of their health and their safety. If we can keep any of them, I'll keep them. The ones in the middle probably keep. Obviously, you've got to leave the ones on either side for the access in and the access out. But if any can be kept, we'll keep them. I'm certainly not one that will just time out other trees just willy-nilly. But they'll be assessed in terms of their health and any risks that go along with that. Anything that we take down, I've already allowed for, in terms of some of the plans we've seen, there's already suggestions of how we can plant stuff in the parking area, but I'm certainly up for planting more trees.
There was one penny at the end.
Mr. Chairman, the pond,
Yes.
I know it's no longer under the pond, but could we have a contact, please, to to go to, because it's in a hell of a state.
Yeah.
You need to ride on the
If you go down there, so there still should be 2 notices at either end of the footpath with a contact number. If it's not there, give us a shout, we can supply it to you. But Savills are the managing agents, it's their responsibility. It was a bit of a millstone around our neck, because it's not really a pond, it's just a hole in the ground that collects water. It's a sump.
It's highways.
And we did look at it, just for information, years ago about getting somebody to drain it out and reline it, but the cost was just prohibitive. And hasn't been rained a lot this year, we haven't had much water in it.
And also, just as the parish council were thinking of spending money on it, the church commission just said they wanted to sell it.
Yes.
So the parish council couldn't spend money on something they
we
don't
know,
own,
so
and also didn't even have a lease on, because they wouldn't give us a new lease either.
And we're not going to waste your money on something we don't own.
No, I understand, I just need to be able to...
Yeah, the Savills are the managing agents, and Joe's got the numbers.
I'm looking the number up now.
Any more questions, and then we can whistle on to the finance report.
It'll be quick. Yeah. So the finance report, you should have a copy that I only photocopied 32, one between 2, then 90 people arrived, which is marvellous. But just, it's very brief. Our precept for the year, 67,520. Income from allotments, just under 3,800. That's £1,700 of that wasn't rent. That was money that was paid by a solicitor because an allotment plot had asbestos and all sorts of other things on it. It was the cost of putting right what needs to be put right. Burials and memorials was very low, that's good or bad, £360 income. The year before had been 1,600. Bank account interest, 2,300. VAT, I claim back all the VAT that the parish council spends over the year. Special scheme, we're in £1,800. And £70.95 wavy for having the pylons in the gun park and in the allotment. So that was the income of just under 76,000. There is current account brought forward 5,051 and the deposit account carried forward 171,000. So in all 252,000. I will say the parish council is supposed to keep up to a year's worth of income at all times in their account. Minimum of 3 months, it should really be 6 to 12 months. We were very low on our reserves before, but we are doing our best to keep the auditors happy by having a bit more. Payments, current account salaries, that was me and both of our amazing caretakers, 22,523 for the year. Admin costs, and that also includes pension contributions, all the employers' national insurance, which the parish council didn't have to pay until fairly recently, as well as the salaries. Admin costs, 5,772. Insurance is a large chunk of that. Parish human pavilion, £1,500. Groundworks, 15,627. That is the mowing, the hedges, all the groundworks that happen. Allotments, 2,945. But again, the 1,700 of that was paying out to get rid of the asbestos and the clearing and the other thing that needs to be done. The water has been a very high cost this year. I think it was dry last year. I thought we'd had a leak. We hadn't had a leak. We had somebody in. And also, you probably noticed domestically, the cost of water has shot up. So a lot has been spent on water. Leisure fields, £1,700. That was. Oh yeah, no pond repairs now. We haven't got any ponds to do repairs on. So last year we spent just over 2,000. Community services, 19,523. I say that actually is where the caretakers are, definitely community services. Grants and coffee break, 1,269. That is just really for coffee mornings. The parish council don't have any community grants available anymore. Churchyard maintenance, there hasn't been any this year, but that's only because we haven't paid Cleverly and Spencer's bill yet, or in fact we just have, but it's in this financial year. Membership and publications, that's mainly membership, CALC, SLCC, we're also ICCM, so these are all parish council style organisations that give us legal advice and help us with our training. Events and communication, £503.75. That's litter pick refreshments, Christmas tree lights, electricity, and 2 Christmas trees. And that's about it. Oh, VAT that we spent out this year, £1,327.78, which will come back as income next year. So total spent £73,730. So we've actually spent more than our income for the year, but that's okay because we had our reserves. Anybody got a question?
Excellent. Right, moving swiftly on, we're on to the district reports from KCC and district councillors. Councillor Peter Evans, our reform councillor, is he here? No.
We've been one since May.
And DDC, I think we've got Steve Mannion and Nick Kenton in the room, so if you'd like to present anything, or please do. Thanks, Steve. Oh, stuck in.
Chairman, thank you for that great introduction. It's great to see so many of you people here tonight. I'd like you to cast your minds back to the 1st of April, 1974. And that was the start of DDC. A very auspicious date, 1st of April 1974. Because at the moment what we're going through is a process called local government reorganisation. So what the government has said is they want to amalgamate your district councils and your county councils. At the moment, when something goes wrong, what's the first thing you've got to think? You've got to think, oh, is that a DDC problem or is it a KCC problem? So it'll simplify things for a lot of people about how we do things, hopefully also making some savings. So this is the process we're going through at the moment. We're expecting a decision in the summer, early summer, about how many councils there'll be. Will it be 3 unitaries or 4 unitaries in across Kent? They're looking for a population of about 600,000, so that's why, 3 or 4 is about that number. So that's probably the biggest thing that's happening in local government this year. It's a later night, so I won't keep you too long. Nick, if you'd like to say anything.
Just picking up on that, so what Steve's saying is likely we're joined with Ballick, Canterbury, Folkestone Highlands is now called, and possibly Ashford. So that's where we're going to be in that big group. The government's thinking is that KCC is too big and unwieldy, DDC and councils are too small, and therefore even DDC looked a few years ago joining with Shepway as it was at the time, because we can save money, 1 chief exec, less directors, and you can save money because you're doing a lot of duplication of work. Now that's the theory. The trouble is, because this is great public sector, that they identified the savings, but I think when all this happens, it's going to take a long time for any of those savings are ever achieved, because in public sector, all workers are allowed to keep their jobs and cheapied over. So when the new authority starts, nobody will be made redundant, they'll all be cheapied over. So there'll be a lot of extra people, and if we take natural wastage or people choosing to retire before you can get down to that smaller authority, or massive redundancy payouts, but I suspect the unions wouldn't be too happy with that, so that probably won't happen. So I think the savings will be minimal to start, and the complexity of this whole thing is going to be enormous. Just joining district councils together is hard enough, and then you think we're taking over some of KCC's responsibilities, so highways, adult social care are coming down to this new bigger district. Trying to manage all that and do that in a seamless way is going to be hugely challenging. Yes. So it's something you must keep an eye on because it's going to affect all our future going forward. And the only possible downsides, instead of savings, the government thinks there's going to be savings, undoubtedly are, all district councils and county councils underfunded, so unless that's going to have where they're going to get the money from. And the big issue is, if you look at our neighbouring authorities, Dover has one of the lowest, if not the lowest, council tax in Kent, and therefore
Lowest in East Kent.
Second lowest in Kent. So all our local authorities around us charge more for their council tax. So when we all join together, they are not going to lower their council tax down to our council tax, are they? They're going to bump ours up to what theirs is, probably the highest one. So the problem is, I see, you have to keep an eye on this because there could be a lot of pain and not much gain. But it's not saying it's not, well, the government says it's right, so we're going to have to do it. But you just have to keep an eye on the detail, because this detail is going to affect everybody, so just keep an eye on it. That's late,
Thank you very much.
Any questions?
Any
questions?
I can just make one observation about what you just representatives from DDC here?
That's right.
No representative from KCC for the second year running.
Yep.
So that might actually be a major advantage of this, that people will actually come here and represent us rather than disappear off the next.
That's right. I mean, we always try to be at the parish council meetings too. You know,
I appreciate
that's
it.
an important part of what we do.
My point is that you come, KCC hasn't.
Yeah. Thank you.
What's the timescale on this?
Oh. They are telling us, is it next year?
Well, announcement due in summer with new elections for the new authority May next year, and it would run as what they call a shadow authority with full vestings happening in 2028.
So we're supposed to disappear, but I don't see them achieving all this in that timescale. So they will either then have to postpone district council's elections and roll us on for a bit longer, or we then have to have a district council election as well as having a election for the shadow new authority. So it's everything's out there, but I don't think the timescales are going to sit what they think they're going to sit. I'm a pessimist. Well, I'm an optimist, but I'm not a pessimist.
Was this brought in pre-Labour or by Labour? By Labour.
Government's meant the government, they chose the government, and that's their role in life.
Okay.
We just have to do what we're told.
Interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Because there's food, little nibbles at the back. You're all welcome to stay up. I'll finish them all off.